It could be 6 years or more before France's Notre-Dame Cathedral is able to reopen. The devastating fire there came just days after another historic building in Ottawa's Byward Market became the site of a 4-alarm fire. It's raising questions about just how protected Canada's heritage sites actually are. Joining me from Ottawa with more is Robert Pajot from the National Trust for Canada. Robert, thank you for being here today.
Good morning.
So according to Parks Canada, there are more than 3,600 heritage sites across the country, and the Ministry of Public Works and Government Services reports that as a result of fires, quote, serious losses still occur every year. In fact, Montreal's own Notre-Dame Chapel caught fire back in 1978. Why do these fires remain such a problem even today? And it seems like the policy is until we have a problem, we don't have a problem.
Possibly. I think we first of all have to accept that we'll never be able to protect against every possible scenario of human error and arson. And we're actually quite fortunate. I think in Canada there are a lot of codes and a lot of professionals that can implement the protection measures necessary for historic places. But you're right in that there are more challenges for historic places. There's a lot of other things stacked against them in the prevention of fires.
Well, Canada has no federal laws to protect its heritage buildings, and the fire code that governs buildings is designated, which I find interesting. It's designed to protect people, not the structures themselves. With that in mind, are there any legislative changes that you would like to see? Should a separate fire code be developed for heritage buildings?
I'm not a code expert, but it really is debatable whether that would be the best route. I think there are a lot of guides and ways of interpreting the existing code structure to actually make sure that there's an appropriate balance between protecting human lives, and that's of course the top priority, and making sure that we're able to protect that historic material in the buildings. There, as I say, English heritage, and even in Canada, Parks Canada has recently published a document in 2011 that really helps get that balance, and it can be achieved. And we have the professionals around in the country to do that work. Oftentimes it's a question of money and being able to finance that.
Well, Parliament Hill Centre Block is currently undergoing renovations, and it's ironic because in 1916, Centre Block burnt to the ground due to a massive fire. At Parliament Hills, are there any specific sites in Canada that are facing significant risk right now? Are there any that are top of mind for you that need protection now?
You're right. Parliament Hill is undergoing a major project, and the big government buildings are really well protected and have the expertise that they need. It's the smaller sites, the smaller historic sites that are still really important locally and even provincially. And as a type of historic places, I know that places of faith face particular challenges. So many places of faith are at risk of closing for a number of reasons. And their ability to actually put in the fire protection that they need is a massive challenge that they're just not ready to face. So places of faith across the country are really at risk, and we see it often. We saw fire just last week in Ontario, in fact, a small community in Roseneath that lost their St. James Anglican Church. It's devastating for those communities, and so yes, there are a lot of different historic places that are at risk, but I think places of faith are one of the top ones.
Well, Robert Pajot, thank you for being here. It's a shame that it took a international tragedy like this fire in Paris to raise our awareness of how important heritage is in this country, but we appreciate having the conversation with you this morning.
All right, well, thank you.
Well, we reached out to Public Services and Procurement Canada to see if any additional measures would be taken during the renovations to Parliament. They replied, quote, as buildings undergo renovations, methods are put in place to ensure fire prevention and detection, such as using fire-retardant materials. These rehabilitated heritage buildings are brought up to modern fire codes by installing state-of-the-art fire alarm systems, as well as a complete modern sprinkler system.